So, why do you guys read comic books? You can answer in the comments below or just answer quietly to yourself, doesn't really matter to me, but I can tell you the reason I read comic books is I find them to be the most unhinged and completely borderless form of storytelling that we have. Listen, the comic book community is fairly small and fairly accepting of just really weird, strange, and out there ideas. Editorial oversight is kind of hit or miss, and comic books are cheap to make and distribute. So anyone can go out there and kind of do whatever they want. And the creators that are attracted to that kind of storytelling are the creators that don't like to be told no. They're the kind of guys that have big, strange, and complex ideas, and they come here to this medium to tell their stories. Experimentation and exploration are sort of the name of the game. This week in comic books, we saw one of the most interesting pieces of experimentation that we have seen in a really, really long time. A new publisher called Double Take had their launch this week. The thing that makes Double Take so interesting is the way that it's expanding on and subverting the normal way that we read comic books. Oh, and in case you haven't noticed, we didn't really do an intro this week. I just kind of started rolling with what I was thinking. If that's freaking you out, you need the transition to know that we started. Here you go. There, better? What Double Take wants to do is create a connected universe a la what Marvel, DC, or Valiant has. A bunch of different books taking place in the same universe, kind of semi-circling the same events. What makes Double Take different is they're not choosing to do the whole superhero thing. Instead, they're kind of focusing on this mysterious zombie outbreak that takes place in rural Pennsylvania during the Lyndon B. Johnson administration. Badass, right? Just a bunch of dudes out there making their own comic books in one larger connected universe, trying to flesh out a world from nothing. That is inspiring. That is freaking cool. Not only that, they kind of experiment with a lot of the conventions of comic books. There's not really any panels to any of the Double Take books. You can buy a hard copy of it, but it reads a lot better in digital form because it really uses the digital storytelling to kind of move the story along, focusing a lot on animations and subtle transitions between one panel to the next. The whole thing feels more like a flip book than a comic book. You get one camera angle and you kind of slowly move through actions from that angle. It makes the dialogue move kind of fast, and to the book's credit, it does a great job of creating what feels like a world. This is awesome, right? This is cool. This is people coming along and experimenting with what we think comic books are, what we think storytelling is. This is important. This is cool. This is also, unfortunately, garbage. Yeah, it turns out that for all of its big ideas, for all the cool places it wants to take comic books, Double Take's books are just not good. The risks they take and the experiments they make turn out not to pay off. They pretty much fail across the board. Removing a normal panel laid out page really takes away the personality and completely disregards the whole artistic skill that goes into building a page. It removes all narrative momentum, and what you're left with is an experience that's like reading a collection of Family Circus. Though Family Circus, if you inserted zombies and Lyndon B. Johnson. Yes, Double Take failed to put out a quality product, but you know what? Science, art, and humankind in general are built on the bones of people that were brave enough to take chances, that were brave enough to experiment with convention. The only way to move forward is to try new things, and sometimes those new things suck, and they fail, and they break, and they kind of just make a big old mess of things. But you know what? Because of what Double Take did here, someone else can be inspired, someone else can build on their ideas, and someone else can push this industry forward to places that would not have been possible without the progress made by this fledgling company. And the books are free right now, so if you want to check them out, it's not really going to cost you anything. But I've always been honest with you guys, and I can't recommend that you spend your time reading these, but give them props. Tweet them support and tell them that you appreciate what they're trying to do for the industry. And include them in your prayers or in your goat sacrifices or whatever. So Double Take, I give you the good old double salute for what you tried to do, even though it was bad. To pioneers. So you know what's a real bummer? Participating in an unprotected all-night pantsless hoedown, only to find out later that you have some sort of combination of leakage, burning, and immune suppression. So yeah, STDs suck, but what if they were awesome? Imagine if there's an STD that when you caught it, it made you like lose a bunch of weight. It made all the blemishes on your skin disappear and, you know, kind of thinned your facial features. What if catching an STD turned you into a super babe or a mega hunk? What if an STD made you beautiful? That is the plot of The Beauty, a new STD called, well, The Beauty, infects people and makes them beautiful, and of course the obvious reaction ensues. People want to catch it, and soon over half of America is infected with this new disease. But what's the big deal? Everyone looks pretty, sounds kind of great, right? No more ugly chicks and no frumpy potato-shaped dudes. But as you can imagine, some problems happen. The biggest being is a terrorist group pops up, and their mission is to sort of purify humankind, and they target people who have the beauty. Also, another problem sort of surfaces. So it turns out the beauty not only makes you beautiful, it makes your head, fire. The beauty combines a thrilling sense of action found around a murder mystery with near-future sci-fi with political intrigue. It's a really interesting sort of roller coaster ride of a book that is kind of punctuated with really great character drama. I'm really enjoying the beauty, and these first two issues have set a great foundation for what could turn out to be an excellent series. I occasionally do this thing on this show where I try to imagine what the inside of different comic book writers' heads look like. So let's do that, but for Rick Remender this time. I imagine the inside of Rick Remender's head looks like the writer's room for the Twilight Zone, except the room is actually a fish tank version of the ear cutting room from Reservoir Dogs, and the writers are lizard men, and lizard men are actually robots. And also Deadpool's there. His work is always such a delicious combination of pulp-era science fiction and heavy-handed character melodrama. And imagine that gooey, delicious center wrapped in a Sean frickin' Murphy drawn book. Sean Murphy is turning into the Elvis of comic book writers. The dude is a pure hit maker. And here in Tokyo Ghost, he creates one of the most beautiful books on the market. So here's the deal with Tokyo Ghost. In the future, everything gets so incredibly shitty that human beings literally get addicted to escapism. They retreat within media and ads and advertising, just sort of artificial stimuli to escape from the awfulness of their world. And of course, because it's science fiction and, well, the world, corporations sort of take advantage of that and start making money off these poor tech-addicted people. The main characters are Led Dent and Debbie Decay. Anyway, these characters are sort of enforcers for these tech distributing corporations. Their job is to go out, carry a cool sniper rifle, ride an awesome motorcycle, and kick ass in the name of their company. The book is incredibly satisfying from just an action standpoint. Everything going on is crazy and violent and big and colorful and beautiful. But when all of that sort of fades away, when all the popcorn level action drops to the background, this book is revealed to be an incredibly touching audit of what it's like to love someone who is struggling with addiction. Led is addicted to tech and media and all the sort of things that have plagued this particular world. And the only reason that Debbie is doing this is she has been promised the opportunity to detox Led, to bring him back to sober living. There are some truly heart-crushing moments in this book as Debbie tries so hard to love Led, yet he is so lost in his vice, being completely consumed, and watching her suffer almost equally with him. Now, this story could take place in modern day, and this tech addiction could be replaced with heroin, and it would still be just as satisfying. It would still land the same emotional beats. I cannot recommend Tokyo Ghost enough. It is as kick-ass awesome as you could ever possibly want, yet it still brings all the depth you expect from Rick Remender's work. We have failed, comic book readers. Secret Identities was sort of one of my favorite secret series that was kind of going on over at Image. It was basically the creation of an entirely new superhero universe. It shared a lot thematically with Watchmen. All these heroes had their vices and their dark secrets. As heroic as they were still basically flawed, grounded human beings, and that's where the book really focused. This book was the best original superhero series to launch since Invincible, and I fucking mean that for serious. This book had everything. Big time action, cool ass characters, effective emotional beats. It even has titties hidden in the title. How great is that? And unfortunately with this issue, the series comes to an end. Now normally that's not really actually that big a deal. I mean, part of the appeal of consuming stories in general is that they end. They give you closure, unlike pretty much everything else in your life. Problem is, Secret Identities ended way before it meant to. The last page of the book is basically an apology letter from the creators saying, hey, the book didn't sell well enough, so we had to end it sort of here. And if they had done it gracefully, again, I could have forgiven it. But this turned out to be just rushed and awful and kind of gives you the "and everyone lived happily ever after" ending. It's incredibly unsatisfying and sort of pulls the fangs out of what was a really real and aggressive book. This will be one of the great missed opportunities this medium has ever seen. Like, I needed another reason to drink, but let's all have one in honor of Secret Identities. Fucking gone too soon. I've been doing YouTube content and freelance comic book writing and now writing for my own site for a little over 2 years now. And you could take my entire career and look at all my work, and you could make a really convincing argument that this has all been basically an elaborate way to hide a fan blog for sex criminals. I love sex criminals. It is the best comic book going on right now. Why am I talking like this? Yes, it is incredibly funny. Yes, it is goofy. Yes, it is constantly throwing unexpected things at you. But what has really made this book special is how smart and insightful it is. Part of what makes sex criminals so smart is not only what it is saying, but how it is saying it. It has a lot of really insightful things to say about love and self-discovery and sort of the nature of human sexuality, but it never comes out and says anything. It's always very metaphoric. It's always very woven into the actions of the character. This entire issue is centered and bookended by a lecture of the history of sexual oppression of women. There is no subtlety there. This book basically preaches to you for roughly 22 pages. Incredibly disappointing and kind of lazy. Rather than taking their insightful take on the topic into the story, they just kind of throw it at you. This is probably the worst issue of Sex Criminals. It's still better than the best issue of a lot of other series, but it is a little disappointing. Yes, all the stuff we love about Sex Criminals is still there. It's still absolutely fucking crazy. In this issue, we have a Sailor Moon angel creature that is made entirely out of human ejaculate that reveals itself to be some sort of awful hentai demon that chases our heroes through an imaginary sex limbo universe. It's fucking Sex Criminals. It's crazy. It's comic books. So all the stuff we love is still there. It's just sort of gotten all pretentiousnessified. That is not a word. As much as I complain about it, this is still good issue. It's just not good by Sex Criminal standards. And yeah, you should still pick it up. Yeah, you should still read it. And yeah, you need to be reading Sex Criminals. So you have your homework, nerds and nerdettes. We did it! There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is the Pulse take on this week in comic books. If you're looking for a little bit more fleshed out view on everything that came out this week, I do a written column every Wednesday on our website where I kind of go over each comic book that came out that week and write just a little bitty paragraph about it. I'll let you know if it's worth buying, skipping, or if you're just better off waiting for the trade. I'll also do one long form review every week where I write between 600 and 1,000 words on one book. Really sort of dive into it and break it apart. This week, my long form review was of Tokyo Ghost #1. Again, go over to our website and I'll give it a look-see. Also, while you're there, maybe consider writing for it. We're still looking for contributors and writers that are interested in sort of starting their career in comic book and video game journalism. We're offering you a medium where your work can be featured and promoted with the same gusto that we promote ourselves with. The team is slowly growing. I'm really liking how all these creative minds are working together, and I'm really liking the shape the website is starting to take. But whether you write for us or not, we really want you to be part of this community. Make sure you're following the channel both on Facebook and on Twitter. Make sure you're checking out our website and hitting that subscribe button. For every new subscriber we get this week, I will buy another bottle of bourbon because this one is on its last leg. Ladies and gentlemen, nerds and nerdettes, make sure you come back next Sunday and every Sunday to the end of time for the episode of The Pull. Now get out of here and go read comics.